I would like to call to order the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting for Monday, June 20th, 2016. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Bussey?
Here.
Mayor Miller?
Here.
Alder Wood is excused.
Is there a motion for approval of the June 6th minutes?
Move approval.
I will second that. I have no corrections or additions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. No one here for an appearances section. Item 5 is unfinished business. 5A, discussion of recodification section proposals from Finance Director and City Administrator.
I'll go first. Last week I had to come back here, and redo mine. If you go to page, I'm not sure how to go through this. Mine's manuscript chapter 63, financial taxation.
So what, on the bottom of the page, what are the numbers down?
Page 45 is 666.
Okay, 45, all right.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Basically, this a lot of the stuff in 6.3.
Hold on.
Majority of the stuff is
I'm not finding it yet.
It looks
We
like,
go from
looks
41
like
to 73. No.
looks like this.
It's probably halfway between all of this.
Let's just You're getting closer. I think.
Oh yeah,
There
here we
it
go.
is.
So it's about that far, right?
45, it says down on the bottom.
45 of 666.
Getting there.
Yep, right after that stuff.
Yeah, here we are. Got it.
Okay.
There's really nothing major here. A lot of it's just before they didn't have my position in here. A lot of it was just changing it to update it to the clerk, to the treasurer, all these reports, and also another one is the administrators added in here and a couple of them. So if you kind of cruise through, you'll see that the majority of this is just name changes. Even on 6315, adding in another utility audit. We separated, we separated stormwater, so we created a stormwater utility.
Do we have a sewer utility? We don't, do we?
We do have a sewer utility. And a
We
water
do?
utility.
And, okay, we have
So we have ordinance. If you go to page 6316, this is purchases by the city administrator. It was changed 4 or 5 years ago, I believe. Changed what amount.
And did we confirm that it was indeed
Yeah.
25,000?
It was 25,000.
It was, okay.
So I just updated that to 25,000. That was approved. Other than that, that's all the changes we had.
Mark on page 46 of 666, you've got first paragraph, you've got section 715.1 circled and an X in the margin, but what's happening with that?
Oh, I did that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when we're putting in the, once we get on the fee schedule, that will be referenced to a new fee schedule next month.
Okay, thanks.
And that'll be like in my master instructions to make sure they catch all those. That's one they did not catch, so.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have.
And does the handout you gave us from Bill have anything to do with this at all?
It will in my sections. I don't
Okay,
think
all
there's
right.
too much in his sections.
Okay, any questions?
Other
Mark?
than the hotel tax, which we're still waiting from Bill, so.
Yeah, okay.
That's gonna be pretty much a rewrite, so.
Okay,
So that's not ready yet.
all right.
Or,
Administrator Little?
okay, you had asked about, which committees, needed increases or decreases in their size and, trying to make them as comparable as possible. And on this little colored chart near the front of the packet I gave you, actually there was a lot less consistency between the committees than I thought there was. The numbers range anywhere from 5 to 12.
And interestingly, the one with 12 couldn't get a quorum.
Could not get a quorum,
With
although
that many people.
Yeah, the last meeting they had everyone, so it's just been kind of all over the place. And there's different language on, who may be chair, or who must be chair when it comes to city council members. I did get feedback on 3 of the committees that the staff are requesting a change, and that's kind of in the blue-green there. Landmarks, an increase, Public Works, potentially a decrease, and Committee on Sustainability, potentially, a decrease.
So when you get all that feedback, you'll come back to us with one master recommendation?
Probably a master ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill will draft that for us. And as far as whether the chair votes or not, actually I thought it would be the other way around, but most of the committees the chair does vote rather than no, and for a few it does not really say. So that
would be another suggestion. The more unanimity we can get on this, so whatever Bill thinks. I don't know that I care one way or the other, but it would just be nice so we know as a rule if you go into a meeting, because it happened at Public Safety.
I think it
Does
can be
Brian
very
vote or not
confusing.
vote? And
Yeah.
so it would be nice to. Okay.
So a lot less consistency than I thought. Also, another thing to consider is cleaning up the classification, and that was one that, again, if you remember the discussion last time, commissions are basically creatures of the statutes, and we have a classification, which is the following page there, 18-16 on the bottom. And they're just kind of all over the place. For example, we say Senior Citizens Commission, Landmarks Commission, Broadband Commission, and really, other than Transit, which should remain Commission, the other ones probably should be renamed committees. So I think this whole section really should be reworked. But if you want to leave them Commission just because that's what we've been calling them.
Do them according to the proper definitions.
Okay. There's always a lot of confusion on that by staff people and trustees and so forth. So, let's see here. Section 112, you had asked last time, that is the Police and Fire Commission. Why is that a separate section? Bill said he suggests maintaining consistency with the organizational scheme and moving that section to 18.9, but leaving the rest of Chapter 112 as is. So we can move that section with all of the other committees.
Okay.
Let's see, what else did I forget? Chapter 94, I didn't include that, but, oh no, I think I did actually. Let me find that. That's a couple pages in. It's 94-4 circled on the top. And so, if this sounds good to you, where it talks about time, date, and notice of meetings, to add a paragraph in, and this is the language directly from the statutes. Following a regular city election, the new council shall first meet on the 3rd Tuesday of April. So that would be your reorganizational meeting. So then that way there's no question about, when to do that. That's like the earliest available date. Chapter 103. Oh, hold on, I missed something. It's page 36 of 666 on the bottom. One thing that we did, Leah actually found, is in the section about who may issue citations. Oh, it says ask Scott about this on there. Fire chief or fire inspection. Can you guys issue your citations now, or do you?
Yes.
Okay, so that should stay as is. We questioned if code enforcement officer should be in there. Take out city engineer. And then there was another one that was interesting. It said emergency government director, and she said, who is this? And first of all, the title, according to the emergency plan, is emergency management coordinator, and that says city administrator also in the plan, and I will get to that. And then also city planner, director of economic development, that's a title change, and add maybe parks director. I don't know if that would be a good idea. So those were a few of the changes we were thinking about making there. Any?
Parks directors issue citations?
They don't now, but I don't know. You know, I'm not sure if that's commonplace.
Yeah, I wouldn't go down that path
Yeah.
unless there's some compelling.
Yeah. I think they're not really in the enforcement business.
He already thinks he runs everything. So
Well, we can't have that.
next thing he'll want a bullet.
Any other changes on that section, other than maybe adding code enforcement officer?
No, again, I just look
that would only make
forward to
sense.
having recommendations from you and that we react to recommendations.
Okay.
I don't necessarily see that the council brings a lot to the table on the debate part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we might question why you or Bill make a recommendation, but at the end of the day, we're just going to do what you guys
Okay.
recommend. You're the ones who live with these ordinances.
All right. Well, then we'll live with the other ones that we've got. And here's another one that I think is, I don't know, maybe just an oversight. Again, on the next page there, page 42 of 666, we have in here a section, I notice emergency government director. The plan calls it emergency management coordinator. And there's a whole thing in here that that person is appointed and so forth. Actually, in the plan, it says it's me. So, depending on which way you want to go,
Okay.
you got two things that conflict
Well,
here.
I defer in this case only because of who we have in our community. We're fortunate to have Larry Reed live here, and that was his job for many years, and I've used him, deferred. He helped craft our emergency management plan. Is that not correct, Scott? Yep. So I would just as soon have someone with, unless you have tremendous amount of expertise in that, but Larry does, and I would like to see if he would fulfill that position. But if he retires or moves or whatever, I don't know if we would have that resource in the community as strongly. So I would like it to be flexible if we can, if it's possible. If we don't have anyone in the community, then you're responsible. But if we have somebody of the skill set of a Larry Reed, I would want to take full advantage of that.
So in that case, I would say let's defer to the ordinance and change the plan. Because you can always designate me as the director, but
Yep.
I mean,
I would like
I
that
have some
flexibility.
training, but your next person coming in might not have any
Yep.
at all, so it really depends. So if someone's got more, I'd rather have them do it, so we'll go that way then. So chapter 103, we've got that all scribbled up, and not, I think, a ton of decision items for you guys. Mostly, again, changing the titles for the city planner and the parks director, and then correcting, I think it says that I am supposed to be the treasurer, and of course we have Mark, who's the treasurer. I'm the comptroller. So a lot
you're
of
a
corrections.
comptroller?
I'm
What
actually
is a
the-
comptroller?
I think what the difference is, and I've never had it because I've always been in villages, is I look at the overall, is there money in the bank, where he signs off like on the tax rolls and things like that.
Controller too, but it was all one.
No, because when I sign documents, I'm signing it as comptroller. Those are always the documents that were brought to me. So they're two different things, and I believe that it says here it's a statutory basis, so if you go to 62.0910, there's actually two different positions. So there should be a treasurer and a comptroller, but again, I don't have a lot of experience with the comptroller.
So just check with
Position.
Bill and confirm on
I
that.
can double check
Yeah,
that.
double check on that.
Check that, comptroller was supposed to be the finance director.
Okay.
Okay. What is a comptroller, Mark?
It's the same thing as the kind of finance director.
Okay.
Oversees the books and the investments and the city as a whole financially.
Okay.
Yeah, we should clarify that, because I know a few
Okay.
documents have been brought to me with the title comptroller on it, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, I'm trying to think, just, some corrections that were in the packet last time. Page 88 of 666, you can see we added some language for the city planner position. She is also the zoning administrator, floodplain zoning administrator, and economic development activities. For Jake, Parks and Rec Director, we actually added parks to the job description because that was not in the ordinance. And crossed off senior center because now you have a person that does senior center facility programming. So, and that is Diane. Let me see here.
Were we not going to appoint Bussy as the weed commissioner too?
You can appoint whoever you want.
As I recall last meeting.
Yeah, you know, every place I've ever seen it, it's been exactly this. It's like you appoint, like, it's either you or whoever you want it to be, and it's pretty.
Do we have a weed commissioner?
It's been the building inspector.
Okay.
Yeah, but really, it's someone who goes out and looks and does the letter to mow the lawns. That's really all it means. So, if you want to be it, you can.
So, do we want to keep a weed commissioner?
It's by statute. You have to have one.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So you can see duties and responsibilities outlined in 66.0517 was stats. So that is a statutory position, believe it or not. Oh, there was one that I didn't have a chance to read yet. I just remembered that. We had asked, this was one that Leah had pointed out. It's on the very last page of Bill's little spreadsheet that I gave you. Finance director, clerk, and myself. In the ordinance, it says there is just cause for removal, which is it's stated differently in our personnel manual. So, and there was some weird language about police and fire chiefs that say they shall hold office during good behavior, which I'm assuming you're behaving down there, Scott, but it sounded like very archaic language to us. But he's saying that the language is consistent with the statutes, which we weren't sure if they even applied because they talk about village and stuff, but sometimes cities and village ordinances or statutes tend to be the same. So again, police and fire chief quoted language is consistent with statutes. So he recommends leaving it all as is.
I would defer to the city attorney.
Yep.
Because it just seems like it would help him more if something ever arises where there's that uniformity between all that versus it might make sense for us as lay people, but
yeah, exactly. And that's one of those cases where you read it on its face and it just sounds odd and it sounds like conflicts, but you know, there's a statutory provision here that applies, and so in this case we should just leave it alone. And then, so that's the exciting stuff on that. And I think I just, right after Bill's sheet in the packet, now I gotta find it. I put it in here. This thing is kind of a pain. Well, anyway, we have some draft language for the finance director. For, I thought it made it into the packet, but I'm not seeing it actually. Is it, did you see it, Mark?
Very front.
Is it in the very front? Okay. I'm going the wrong way.
4 or 5 pages in that.
There it is. Is it there? Oh, that's not it. There it is.
there's no page numbers.
Yeah, it's where you see
Yep.
on the top it says Finance Director, Director of Administrative Services and Community Media Director.
Right
We
there.
decided we should have those in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we drafted some language to add these sections to the code so that all the department heads will be addressed in the ordinances.
All right, since these are new, so has Bill seen these, perused these?
These 3 sections he has not.
Okay,
they're
I guess I would just, until he's had a chance. Have you gone through yours, Mark? Did you write yours, or?
No, I didn't write it.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you guys all hash out, and then after everyone's had a kick at the cat, bring to us
Okay.
your combined wisdom.
Okay. Let's see. I think that's about all I got. We'll do that. Another thing that I just had noted, just during my time here, and I wasn't sure if they needed to be included in the ordinance or not, but according to Bill, they do not. They could be made part of a position description, is that we don't really have any deputy positions, so we don't have a deputy clerk or a deputy treasurer or a deputy comptroller.
Deputy clerk, he is actually technically deputy
I don't know that it's actually in her position
clerk.
description.
Might not be in her job, but she's technically a deputy clerk.
She's
Yeah,
functioning
again,
it, but
I'm wide open to, if
Yeah.
it makes us better, if some of these changes, just so everybody.
well, I think it's important that it's in the, let's just say, God forbid, Joan can't make it to an election. At the end of the night, we have to sign on paperwork that says the clerk is certifying it. Nobody formally holds that title of deputy clerk or deputy treasurer. Heaven forbid, Mark leaves and we got to put in the tax roll.
Yeah,
Do
I don't know for sure deputy treasurer, we should technically, I thought she
Yeah.
was.
I
Yep,
don't think
there
so.
again, you guys figure it out and
Nope.
give us a recommendation. We'll either like it or not. And
Well, the recommendation is that we add them to
Yep.
the position
That's cool.
description. So,
Nope, makes sense.
and hiring one would even be better, but
Times are tough. Times are tough. I'm practicing for this fall.
So that is the recommendation on those. That's, I think, all I have for.
Good job. But again, I just think it would best serve us if you put your heads all together. And it's like making sausage. So thank you for doing it. 'Cause
This
it's
is a
not
messy
what I would
process for
enjoy.
sure.
All right, so we'll wait to have you come back with the final recommendations. Item 6 is new business. 6A is consideration of resolution 16-6-2108, the authorization of the issuance of a $1,796,850 taxable tax increment project revenue bond. This is part of TID number 9. Mark?
Yeah, this is,
We have a motion, Mayor.
Maybe. Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I will second that.
this is the, basically, we're going to purchase Inland Lakes, purchase that. It's actually Thursday, will be, the closing will be on Thursday. This is just borrowing the money to purchase that property. This is a 3-year tax increment revenue bond with no state bank. Interest rate, here it is. Interest rate is 3.11%. Matures on October 1st, 2018. This is a good rate because it is considered taxable. It's not part of the debt limit, so because it's not part of the debt limit and it is taxable, it is going to be always going to be a little bit higher than you would like a non-taxable rate, or even just a regular taxable rate. But this actually rate, Middle State Bank really worked with us. We are definitely, this was probably working with us, is what we needed to get to, and this is a good rate with that.
Now, just help me clarify. Inland has agreed, the closing Thursday, I heard they were moved out of maybe at least that warehouse. But are they're still an operating business on our behalf, correct?
Yeah, we approved the agreement, I believe, to the end of the year.
Okay.
They're paying us rent, basically paying us a prorated share equals what property taxes.
Just so somebody's checking in, making sure that they are fulfilling their obligations to what,
Yeah.
and I know they did us a favor by doing it too, so I'm
Yeah,
not
as far as-
questioning that, but it's just so that, because somebody said, I thought the inland was still going to be open this summer, and they said, no, they're not doing anything.
I think they're just extending some of the rental spaces that they have. So, I mean, they're partly operating, I think,
Okay.
is how I understand
If
it.
you could if someone could find out, let me know what's exactly going on there with the Casnex, please.
they're supposed to do the maintenance around the facility too, which saves us the time and trouble to do that too, which is nice.
Okay. Questions, Alder Bussey? Again,
None.
as was brought up at the last meeting, this is the purchase of both land, buildings, and an ongoing business. All right. All those will the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Bussey?
Aye.
Mayor Miller?
Aye. Item 6B is consideration of Resolution 16-6-2107, approving the purchase of fire department extrication equipment. Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I will second that. Chief, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. The extrication equipment was put forth in the budget for last year, and this was tasked to the truck committee as part of the purchase of the new, along with the new truck, we're getting new extrication equipment. The truck committee put out the bid. We received 3 bids, one from Reliant Fire Apparatus, one from Jefferson Fire Apparatus, Fire Safety, and one from Fire Alarm. The truck committee evaluated all 3 bids, all 3 sets of tools for cutting ability, weight, ergonomics. So they went through all 3, did a very, very thorough job of evaluating the 3 bids. This equipment is just for the hydraulic
So you
extrication
didn't
equipment.
save $20,000.
Correct.
Oh,
This
bummer.
is just
okay.
for one portion of it. They're evaluating the next set of tools, which are battery operated tools, which is kind of where we're moving towards.
And you're comfortable with the amount still? You think the
Yes.
45 will more than
Yep.
cover it? Okay.
Yep. So they're working on, they have another evaluation set up for Wednesday afternoon with 2 of the vendors to go back through the battery operated extrication tools. And then we're also looking at lift bags, airbags to lift heavy objects, that type of stuff. So this is just the hydraulic extrication tools that, for a lack of a better term, are tethered to the truck or tethered to a power source with hydraulic tubes that we take to the accidents.
And this will be used to outfit the new engine? Or?
This will be on the
On
new
the
engine,
new.
correct?
And I understand you guys have gone up and checked on the new engine. Did somebody go up?
The truck committee has not been up yet
Oh, okay.
to do
But-
a first inspection. I believe there'll be 3 inspections.
But they are building it.
They are,
currently,
yep.
right?
It's in
The queue.
the queue and moving forward, so.
Okay. Questions, Alder Bussey?
None.
Anyone else? I don't have any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 6C is discussion of hiring for code enforcement officer position. City Administrator Little.
Okay, there's a memo, boy, somewhere kind of in the middle of the packet before you get to the checks, or Mark's financial report. Whenever there's a hiring, I always like to, take a look at the description, see if there's anything that needs changing and updating. And I think before we put this position back out again, which would be basically the status quo, hiring at 16 hours per week, I just wanted to bring a couple things to your attention and see if we wish to go in a different direction. 16 hours was what we had done last time. There wasn't a ton of interest in the position, and it was probably worse times economy-wise. If you go that route, you're maintaining a more proactive approach, obviously. It helps the workload for the building inspector and other department heads. But I think with the cons, I think some people have seen just the approach, and this isn't a reflection on the current person, as too aggressive by some in the community, whether you agree with that or not. But there's just a couple of other factors that have come up. the building inspector will be retiring, I don't have an exact date, but this will be coming up within a few years. So if we go out and we hire a person in the meantime, that situation could change. It may be that we hire, like we did now, where we have just a building inspector, but I'm thinking, I don't know how many people are out there like that. If you hire a firm, chances are that person could do, both building inspection and property maintenance. I think that's more typical for communities unless they're very large, like.
It was just a case here.
Yeah.
It didn't work. And that's why we
Yeah.
changed it. But, I mean,
Fees were just too high to
Mhm.
justify it.
yeah, and it was not something that was a high priority for the building inspector.
Mhm.
And so nothing was getting done. And so this was in reaction to that. So circumstances lent themselves to that we had somebody on staff that was doing other things, and his personal situation allowed him. And I know that would be difficult, but again, my personal position is I want somebody doing something like this. I don't want to go back to the current building administrator because I don't see why it would change. He didn't like doing it before. He's not going to like doing it.
No, and that's.
And he does a
that's
great
not
job as the building
that's
inspector.
not on my list of suggestions.
yeah.
No,
But I'm wide open if there's a
because-
different way. Has anyone ever touched with Mr. Eckloff in terms of with his multiple retirement jobs he does?
He fills in now, and I have heard mention that no, he would not want to do it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, it's not a full-time position, but if he could take on this code enforcement, if he'd be interested in
And
that
it's
one.
possible that we could find somebody who's kind of semi-retired who's interested in doing it for a short term. So that is one possibility. But like I said, either way, I think we're going to be revisiting this within a couple of
Yep.
years. So just to make
Yep.
sure that everyone's aware of that. And I think there's, according to the building inspector, there's a big enough workload in McFarland that, it gets hard to keep it 20/20. You know what I mean?
50-50.
I'm sorry, 50.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 20 hours,
Yeah.
hours,
Okay.
50/50. And it's been kind of hard to talk to McFarland because they're hiring right now, so there's not really
Right.
anybody. But Cottage Grove, they may be in the same situation within a few years, so they might be interested in talking again. It's all going to be, it would be a matter of timing.
So Alder Bussey, just so you know on this, when City Administrator Little asked, how, I just said, this is your employee, you make a recommendation, you proceed, and just come forth and how we want to do it. But I certainly want somebody making sure the role of this position is being filled somehow. How you fill it, I totally would defer. And if you need to get the council to accommodate something.
Well, the other thing that I guess I have discovered is that I was kind of surprised that our building inspector, well, either one of our inspectors don't have any clerical support, which
Was a huge problem.
Which,
in the
yeah,
first one.
yeah, and so that I found kind of surprising. McFarland does provide clerical support, and so that was something that, was in my mind. Is that something that should be addressed now? Something that should be addressed
That
a
would
couple of years from
that
now?
would have to be, well, all depends how you're going to proceed, because we're losing them, and I don't want to go a couple of years without a code enforcement, someone doing that. So,
Well, and I
but
guess
we're heading into budget, so if there's a budgetary impact on that, whatever.
I guess what we could certainly do is, for now, we could try rehiring it just as is, and then, but just being aware that clerical support, the balance of hours with McFarland, and just the whole mix of building and code inspection overall will probably have
I
to
think
be
the important-
revisited in a year from now. So.
Yep. The important thing, and again, they are searching for a new administrator there, but as soon as possible, you need to meet with McFarland, and because I know we have ongoing discussions with them on a number of communal possibilities with things. So I think it's important to, because that, for the most part, I think has worked well. But I also just want to make sure someone at your level is paying attention to the hours split and that the revenues are justifying the time and vice versa.
Yep.
And I think as a city, we'll do what's needed to do the job well and right. And so I guess I'm tossing that back into your court.
And that's fine. I wanted to get a gauge of, how important it was to keep the proactive
Alder Bussey,
approach
do you have a?
on the code inspection.
It's a thankless job, I realize.
It's a very thankless job.
It is. When you were saying splitting with McFarland, you're talking about building inspection, you're not talking code enforcement, correct?
Right now, he is doing code inspection for McFarland, is my understanding.
The building inspector is.
Our building inspector is right now.
And he doesn't want
Building
to.
inspection, not code enforcement,
I think he does some property maintenance. Mhm.
He was doing both for us.
I'd be interested to hear how that's going.
I'm guessing it's a more reactive approach would be the difference. So he's going to be complaint only, whereas, with us, it's more proactive. So I guess that's the main thing that will drive the decision is.
And I think your
Do you
point's
wanna
well
pull back
taken.
for a year
If
or
a new
two?
hire is made, that perhaps it was because there is not secretarial support and there is a lot of paper processing in this, and he had multiple duties, so that was the last thing because that was not something he was comfortable with. So the going forward, but I just don't want to wait unless we have a firm date when the building inspector's stepping down. I don't want to just have it as an open book. So we need to try to fill it in some capacity.
I'm just, I'm hearing, administrative support, and I'm thinking, are we adding a position or are we eliminating code enforcement and using that line item in the budget to fund administrative support?
Right.
That's what you're getting at.
Right.
I'm saying that would be an option because.
Another way of doing it
Right.
would be to have the, okay.
Because I
agree.
think overall in the organization, I think the office could use a little bit more clerical support. Maybe if it doesn't start this year, to start in 2017, because, if Eileen is gone and, Michelle is part-time, then it's our department heads covering the windows when they're trying to do payroll and elections, and it can get a little crazy. I think Joan can probably back me up on that. Yeah. So she's had to do extra work with these elections because they're so busy up front, they can't even spare the time sometimes to take on some of that deputy clerk roles. And again, we don't even have that position. So,
Yeah.
so I'm just kind of bringing forward all these observations that I have and just trying to get a gauge on how you feel about.
And I think timing, and I think you need to have a conversation with the building inspector. It doesn't make sense to me to hire this position and in a few months you're going to want to restructure everything. We just went through all this effort to train and bring this person up to speed, and it's just been wasted. So maybe so I think you need to find out timing too.
Okay, I'll get some more specifics.
Okay. I'm glad we're having the discussion though.
Yeah, and I did talk to him a little bit, and that's how that I found out this information. So.
And then again, to get into McFarland when it's appropriate.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be soon.
Okay, item 6D is review of financial statements from January through May of 2016. Mark?
Yeah, just kind of through May. A couple big things that are going on. We're on target for a lot of stuff. We'll find our big Monday through Vegas concerns are building permits. I'm going to get into the building permits. We're just talking about that conversation. They're down this year, and revenue's down with that. They are. There is not as much activity. We don't have a big, large project this year. So even the smaller ones, there's not as much.
Which, when I spoke with Mark, really shocked me when I see a building permit on every house on many of our streets.
Yeah, me too.
But it's the
size.
big projects
Commercial.
that drive the commercial. Yep.
And then the other thing, so that's probably gonna be, I think it's budget, legal, cost, will be, is another concern, the cost is gonna be over budget, 2017 or 16.
Any thoughts on what we can do to mitigate that? I
Um,
mean, because I just see, when I see a document like this did not come cheap.
No, I mean,
You know, with our ordinance changes, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
I'll sit down, well, I'll have a meeting
It's
with
one of those things we
the
need to
city.
look at
Yeah.
is, you know, what we're paying them now.
Mm-hmm.
The argument is it's cheaper going house. Because if you look at the numbers and what we're having now, that is something we need to probably look at hard.
Yep.
A bunch of time in the future. With that, that's one of the other things. The other one is going to be police overtime. It's going to look like it's on budget right now, which makes me concerned because that should be lower because they have a lot of times they take comp time. And then that number comes out in November. So those are my three biggest concerns.
And why are you concerned on that if it's not pacing inappropriate?
Just pacing right on target where, say it's, they should be at 42% right now.
Mhm.
Based on what they take for comp time, the number should be a lot lower. So usually what it is they build up their comp time and then they basically take it out as kind of a Christmas bonus type situation. If it means they're taking more on now, it means they're probably doing more overtime. And still taking that comp time, building that back up. I'm afraid.
Well, can you find out, April, when Chief gets back from vacation? Can you guys meet with him and go over that?
Yeah, that's
And
good.
at the next meeting, bring this up.
One good news I was going to bring here tonight, but unfortunately, I had to take a day off. But because I was going to bring, I didn't get a chance to bring them. Our solar panel stuff is actually doing wonders for our budget. So that is really good news.
Does Brad know that? Because I just got an email from Brad. Brad's going to present to the council.
Hopefully, I don't know what he's doing it,
Yeah, it's depending on, there's a third party who's going to do the audit, so it's
but well, just I mean, there's
just off the bills,
just
the
on
difference in the bills.
the actual details that he's going into, but just over on pace. The pace this year we're already $4,000. That's in the certain funds. It's like in the library, $4,000 under what we were this time last year. Last year's was another $4,000 cheaper than the year before. So the solar is having an impact on our MG&E bills, just in general. So that decision made by council to put that on there.
Should we be looking at trying to do more? I mean,
Might be
not
looking
that
at
we,
maybe more area, that's something to think about. But it has,
because they have another whole building, that dry storage building.
yeah. So unfortunately I couldn't bring them, but you would saw the difference, and you would get a noticeable difference. You would see,
Okay.
what we paid.
Yeah, Brad's going to do a presentation to council probably in August.
That is one really good thing. That's.
Where's petroleum? I am assuming petroleum
Yeah,
is kicking butt
That is another one that's doing well.
because we budgeted a much higher petroleum
Unfortunately,
rate.
Some are coming in okay, some are below budget. So depends on what you
They
want.
should all
So
be
it's under
below.
fuel.
I don't want to hear anyone's close to budget because I think we're in at $2.50 a gallon there.
Yeah.
And so we've gone 6 months and gas has not been close to $2.50.
Yeah.
Diesel's not higher.
Than what we budgeted?
No.
It's, I know the amount, but you used a higher number on your diesel.
Yeah.
You didn't, yeah.
So if you-
Well, we used the 250.
Oh, you used $2.50 on diesel too? Okay.
Just in this year, that's another thing that Dan did. We converted to landmarks here in Monona. They're giving us actually great data about what you get to who's getting gas, what the gallons are we're using. So we're compiling all that stuff. So it's a really good tool that we can. Elaine's actually she's doing all the work of tracking all that. She's done an excellent job. So we kind of know whose vehicles and what they're spending on. So it's
Okay.
a great tool for us for my tracking. Go to page 3, just, I don't know how much detail you guys want to go into, but just on the kind of things. If you go to the license, page 3, the licensing permits, it is down compared to the last 3 years. As you can see, numbers through May should be at 42%. As you can tell, you can see where we're at right now. So that's a major concern to me in the city. Court fines, I don't have May in there yet. I didn't have May at the time for this yet. It's usually a month behind or the journal entry. That's running ahead of schedule at 51%, so it's really probably 60%. That's doing really well, but you'll see when we get to the legal part for the court legal, it's going to offset each other. So just remind you when we get to that. Everything else, page 4 is on target. Okay, page 5 is kind of one. So if you go to page 5, judicial, you see the legal retainer at 55%. That's the legal costs for bills for courts. That's only January through April.
When you say page 5,
Page 5 is very bottom.
The center here.
oh, the center number. Oh, because it says there's a page number on the
Yeah.
right side.
This whole
Okay,
pack is
okay,
confusing.
all right.
So yeah,
Okay, center 5. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so just so you know, the cost is from January through April. This is where I'm kind of concerned. I see the legal retainer is up, the revenue's up, so they kind of offset each other. And I asked Bill why that is. We do have a lot of OWI cases. They require a lot of legal time involved with those cases, and we know we have all those grants we're running for those type of situations. So that's kind of the result of it. The revenue's going to be up, and the legal cost is going up too, kind of hand in hand. Underneath that, legal number 2, again, it's January through April. May bill's not in there, but you can see the May bill is like almost 14,000. So we had that in there at 56%. We should be 42%. So that's my concern for legal. That's up. As you know, we do have the arbitration and we work on the code codification and other stuff he's working on for this. So that's my one concern there. Other stuff is right on schedule. The rest of the stuff is right on schedule. A lot of it. If you go to page 8. Page 8 for buildings and plants. Unfortunately, I don't have it. You can't really see it. It's going to be under the gas and electric for general building and plants. We're at 34% again. That does not include the May cost because there's 1 month behind in there. We're at 34%, and I do have May. It's less than $3,000. We're really doing a really good. That number is probably going to be probably $6,000 on the budget in the year, so $7,000. So it will help us for next year's budget and some of the shortages. But again, I just want to read it that the solar panels are having a big effect when it comes to budget time. And that 16,000, that's through the winter months. And those numbers are usually a lot higher during the winter months, and they come down during the summer. So that's really on pace for a good number this year for us.
Anyway, here's fuel.
Yeah, fuel.
Yeah, 20%, so we're doing great on that.
20%. So that's going to offset hopefully his overtime cost. That's what I'm hoping.
But make sure you have that meeting, and if I need to be in it, bring me in.
Again, these fuel costs are again through January through April, because we're always a month behind. We look at some of these. Overtime, I get concerned when it's almost on target, 38%. So the 7,000, that's a big number per month. So we'll get a little work with volume in that. I just get concerned because they use a comp time and they pay the comp time at all. It basically comes out November 15th check, so that's usually a Christmas money situations kind of bank into that. Because they don't use comp to get paid out.
Again, my point's going to be this happens every year, so this shouldn't be a surprise. So
That's why
we need to make sure he's monitoring that and
Yeah,
controlling
that's why I'm
that.
concerned.
Because at the last meeting, he kind of lobbed out a little bit about overtime concerns, and
Yeah,
I joked about it, but it was, we should be able to manage overtime unless there's something
And they,
really strange.
and I've been on him about that.
Okay.
I know he's probably talked to you a couple times.
No, not,
So
no.
since last year.
Okay.
One thing, if you do go to inspections, page 11, it's actually 4 months. This number, that inspection, we do have that contract. It is a good contract we have right now with McFarland. So, even though the revenue's down, that's pretty much, he does spend this 50/50. But the contract's been so good that we do keep that cost low with that contract.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I just want to get that. A lot of times you'll see some high numbers. There are a lot of one-time expenses. Dispatch, which is emergency communications. Sometimes you got to pay in advance, annual payments, and that's why some numbers are 83% for the service contract. One of the larger contracts was a lump sum payment. We go to page 12. Some of the public works shop salaries. This is public works. Listed is at 87%, but in total, if I add up all the public works, we're right on target. So sometimes it's misleading. It's just where time of year where they're doing work. But we'll adjust the numbers during budget time to try to get a more accurate picture. Page 13. Here's a huge number. Right? So we had no snow overtime in 2016.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Mother Nature.
And Dan does a really good, and Dan does an excellent job of monitoring and stuff. And when he gets the guys in for crews to come in and stuff like that, so he's excellent. So he did an excellent. We didn't have as much snow this year, but he didn't have any overtime. So that's, knock on wood, comes next November and December. The exact opposite. But for now, it's a big number for us. Parks. Page 14, next page. We have a lot of repairs. Just getting these shelters and up to date, and, them open, and just little things that adds up and adds up and adds up. So this, hopefully, we're in a thing that we don't have any big breaks. There's been a lot of repairs, just kind of getting these things in service.
Like what?
Mechanical stuff and water stuff, just little stuff. But I get detail from.
Yeah.
You can follow that.
I don't mean to rush, but if we can try to get through checks, but
Yeah,
do you have page 21
No, I was gonna say.
on the cable TV fund?
Yeah.
You off per approved capital plan? What
Okay,
does
for
that
approved.
mean?
I went back and tried to match them up, and it was what we had so far.
Okay, so there's not a problem. It's,
No,
okay.
no,
I was gonna
just
say,
find out.
Will's been pretty good about
Yeah.
that stuff.
Will does a really good job, and all the departments.
Yes,
do a
they
good
do.
job following what they're supposed to do.
And I do check.
Good, good. All right,
That's all I have.
yeah, that was, the other stuff looks fine.
I had written down as far as general fund balance, as far as what we anticipated it to be at this time of year. Are we there? Are we?
We're kind of, right now, if you had to, it really comes into, we have to figure out when the permit's gonna come in, when the bill costs are gonna come in. It's gonna be very close to what we budgeted, hopefully. But if we can control the overtime, we will. If not, we're gonna be having a net loss this year, probably, 20,000, 30,000 at least,
Okay.
or more.
Well, that's why we do the mid-year check-in.
And another thing, I'm going to try to do one here again right away, because Jake's stuff, we just started to see his stuff, his big revenue.
Seasonal,
Is
yeah.
it?
Coming in now. Will say, I just talked to him last week, his pool pass numbers already exceeded what we budgeted. It's kind of, I think it's going to be like a all-time high, because we started out those 90-degree days, and it makes a big difference when you start off the season like
Yep.
that, so.
And I don't want to jinx it, but the Lotus Park metering system is working.
It's working really well.
So we were losing a lot of money for years here.
Yes.
And I tip my hat to law enforcement is I saw it.
Oh, there's law enforcement.
I don't want to say anything good while there's a cop. Law enforcement has done an excellent job of patrolling Lottis Park for stickers, and its usage is incredibly high, but we are ticketing people who should not be parking in there, and we've never been in a position to be able to really do that. And
I just got the bank statements. The money comes through a lot of it because we have a machine to check bank statements. I haven't done the bank statements for me. It's just kind of getting started working on it. And we are making doing a good job collecting the revenue through those machines too. So
no, I think that will help. Okay, moving on to acceptance of the general fund accounts payable checks dated June 3rd through the 16th, 2016. Mark?
I'll kind of go this faster. Not a lot of stuff here. First one is page 1, AR 500 armor. This is police equipment, armor equipment for the police department. They also
Budgeted.
they gave us grant money back.
Oh, okay.
It's a zero effect on us for that. Page 2, just going to grab a couple emails. The muffin project on City Madison Treasure. That's the email bill for that. Page 4, just some things I hit already, just so the public knows. Brush collection, National Tree Service, we just did second quarter, so third and fourth quarter coming up here in the next month, starts July. So that. Page 6, is looking at where page 6 and 7, Becker and Strand, and what our engineers are working on for us. Question about those projects.
Gateway Green Neighborhood. Is that for streets?
Stormwater.
Oh, all that's in our
Yeah.
project plan for this summer. Okay. And I don't want to rush things, but it's important. It looks like the initial findings for the strand work on Winnequa Lagoon, it's not as,
Good.
it may not be as major of a concern.
Wonderful.
It could be, but we're waiting for DNR response.
Okay. If you have any questions, a lot of it's just minor, everyday business stuff.
Move approval of the general fund accounts payable checks June 3rd to 16th, 2016.
I will second that. No further questions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Move adjournment.
I will second that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.